What if the one thing keeping you stuck is the way you think? Welcome to Change Your Mind with Chris Ashley, the podcast where science meets spirituality and mindset becomes your most powerful tool for transformation. I'm Chris Ashley, author of Change Your Mind to Change Your Reality, trainer, speaker, and lifelong seeker. For years, I battled trauma, depression, anger, chronic illness, low self-worth, and the weight of old stories. Until I discovered how to rewire my mind, reconnect with my divine nature, and consciously create a new reality from the inside out. This show is here to help you do the same. Each week, we explore the intersection of personal development, spirituality, and science, diving into topics like healing, emotional mastery, entrepreneurship, resilience, and the quantum nature of reality. You'll hear powerful stories, gain practical tools, and real conversations that will help you change your perspective, get unshakable confidence, and live the vision your soul has always known is possible. Whether you're navigating a major life shift, building your dream business, or seeking deep healing and alignment, you're in the right place. So if you're ready to break through, take back your power, and create a life on your terms, this is your moment. Let's break free from the patterns that hold us back, awaken to who we truly are, and rise. Your transformation starts now. Welcome back to the Change Your Mind podcast, where we explore personal development, spirituality, and science. I'm your host, Chris Ashley. We are going to talk about growth and overcoming trauma and breaking silence today. And as always, who knows where the conversation is going to lead. But first, couple quick announcements. Head over to the links in the show notes. You're going to find a lot there. You will find a link to my book, Change Your Mind to Change Your Reality. It was endorsed by 3 people from the film The Secret. So it's Marcy Shimoff, Bob Doyle, Michael Beckwith. It was endorsed by John Gray, who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and Nina Morjani, who wrote Dying to Be Me, and several others, so go check it out. You'll also find a link to sponsor the podcast if that's interesting to you. You want to help keep this going. Let's see what else. You'll find links to connect with me online and to connect with my amazing guests that I have here today. And you will find links to my 2 TV shows. So if you're interested in more of the spiritual side, more of the metaphysical side, I have 2 TV shows, so go check them out. All the links are in the show notes. And as always, this podcast is part of the Los Angeles Tribune Podcast Network. We are doing amazing things in personal development. It sounds kind of funny that a newspaper has a podcast network, but there's actually this huge personal development branch that the Los Angeles Tribune has been building. We've all been building it together. We have live events and virtual events pretty much once a month. I was just on stage with Joseph McClendon and Jim Quick and John Assaraf and Dr. Joe Vitale and Sharon Lecter and Les Brown and Mary Morrissey. So come be a part of what we're doing. The events are amazing. The headliners are amazing. The podcasts in the network are amazing. So come be a part of the community. It's really fun. All right. So without further ado, with me today, I have Alreen Haeggquist. Alreen is a seasoned lawyer, author, and advocate on a mission to amplify voices and combat silence around abuse. With over 21 years of legal expertise, Alreen champions women facing sexual harassment, discrimination, and abuse, drawing from her own traumatic past to empower others. As the founder of Haeggquist and Eck LLP in San Diego, she has successfully secured millions for clients in these cases. Alreen's recent book, Fired Up, Fueling Triumph from Trauma, illuminates her personal transformation and commitment to ending the cycle of silence. Her unwavering belief that silence empowers gaslighting drives her to inspire others to speak out against abuse, making her a compelling guest. Oh, well, that was your podcast pitch, making you a compelling guest for any podcast conversation. Welcome, Alreen. It's good to have you.
Thanks so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, so it's funny. We were just talking in the green room and you're like, oh yeah, I listened to a couple of your shows, and you would be amazed at how many guests don't listen to shows beforehand and are like thrown off by the fact that I asked the same question, but you already know it, which is awesome. So you are a compelling guest for any podcast conversation. But yeah, I always start my shows off the same way by asking my guests what their origin story is. So if you want to just share what put you on this path and made you so passionate about the work that you do.
Sure. So when I was growing up, I came from a very abusive home. My father was abusive in all the various ways. He was physically abusive, he was emotionally abusive, he was verbally abusive, and he was sexually abusive. And when you're a child, you don't know that there's any way to be different or that you could get out of it. And that just becomes your life. And so my survival technique was to repress it all, to keep it in. And that's really also what I was shown because, I'm the youngest of 10 kids. I had a mom. And even though this is going on, nobody is saying anything. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's protecting me. Nobody's coming to my rescue. And so that's the way I lived my life. And when I got to around, probably ninth or 10th grade, I learned that in order to get out of my house, I could go to college. And if I went to college, I could not live there anymore. And there was ways for me to find, financial aid. And so I put all my attention um, on getting into college. And I did. I moved out of my house when I was 18 and left that environment. And that's really the start of my healing journey. I just didn't know it then.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Did your mom and siblings know what was going on and were they also getting abused?
Yeah, so like I said, I was the youngest of 10 kids. So another part of, why I'm, so passionate about speaking up is that was the household. Nobody said anything. My mom, at, you expected her to save you or do something, or the older, siblings to do something, but nobody ever did. And when I was growing up, they were all, I guess, a victim like me. Like we all endured the same thing. And that's why it kind of goes to that normalization of it, right? This is just how it is, and there isn't a way to be different. It wasn't until I had my own kid that I was really upset with my mom for the first time because it's so natural to want to protect your young. And so the fact that she didn't do anything to protect me, that was the first time that I was like, wow, how did you just go all those years without doing anything? And, I still have empathy for her. She had an arranged marriage at 17. My dad wanted a lot of kids and she went along with it. And so I think she endured her own, abuse and trauma. And for me, I wanted to end it with me. So I've done a lot of self work because I don't want to pass on the generational trauma and the same behaviors to my daughter.
Totally. Yeah. It's like when you become a parent, it changes everything. Like it's like this just mama bear instinct to just, yeah, like anyone that comes near your kid. So what was that healing process like for you? Like where'd you even start?
So, as I mentioned, when I got out of the house when I was 18, I got to college. It was like freedom. Like I felt so good at that time. I met some amazing friends. That's when I met my husband that I'm still with, and so just really amazing people, and got to see different family dynamics. And oh, okay, mine was different, right? That's not how everybody was growing up in their household, and that really put me on a high. And I thought I had left, the abuse and the trauma behind. Like I had moved away from the house. I'm in school. Like there's nothing else to focus on. Um, and it wasn't until I think I graduated law school and things just started declining for me in the sense that I just didn't feel good in my body anymore and in my skin and who I was. And I didn't know it, right? I didn't know what it was caused from. And my body also just took on like a lot of physical manifestations. I had an ulcer for a very long time. So things were telling me that I wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
But I couldn't, associate it with what happened to me in the past. For me at that time, I should get over it. I was being ungrateful. I was selfish. And, those were all the things I was told as a kid. And so they were just playing out in my head. And so I was continuing to repress my feelings and what had happened to me for many years. It wasn't until I did a trial lawyers college, and that was the first time that I verbally expressed that I had been abused by my father, and that created a shift. That just like letting it out created a shift in me, and after that, I started therapy. And so that's kind of how I guess it started. I mean, like I said, I think I can say it started when I got to college. I just didn't know it at the time. But therapy really started when my daughter was about 2 years old, 2 or 3 years old, and now she's 13. So it's been a while, and I've done a lot of various different things along the way, trying to kind of figure out what was causing the physical ailments. Like I knew, or I didn't know at the time. It was I had a good doctor who kept telling me like, you need to feel your feelings. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Stop saying that. It's annoying. But she recommended this woman who did inner child work, and that was another like big pivotal moment of coming to terms as to what happened when I was a kid and all the stuff that I'd been repressing.
What an amazing doctor. That's so rare to get a medical doctor saying that and sending you to that referral. Like that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I feel very lucky. Like she kept, and like I said, I was super frustrated with her. I thought about leaving her multiple times because I'm like, why do you keep saying that? Nothing's happening and I'm still bleeding. And that's what she just kept telling me. She's like, you're so, separated from it. You can't even understand like what I'm telling you. And that's all she didn't know anything about my past. She didn't know what had happened to me, but she just kept saying there's something, in your past and your body is showing these symptoms, and you should be grateful that you're bleeding and your body's showing up this way because it's telling you you need to do something about it. Not everybody gets such clear signs to take action, Yeah. Again, I think it was so beautiful now, but at the time,
at the time you're like, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's just so wild how pain and illness and just physical ailments really, much of the time, are caused by repressed emotions and are just messages from our body, right? And we often will just like take a pill or like do something to just cover it up. But I always say it's like if there's a fire in your house and the smoke detector is going off, like you could take the batteries out of the smoke detector, like take medication, get rid of the symptom, but it's like your house is still on fire, and like eventually that's going to catch up to you. And I mean, in a way, like you are lucky it was ulcers and didn't turn into cancer or something, and like you did pay attention. Because I think a lot of people, never do that inner work and never listen to that doctor or go to that inner child worker.
Yeah, so she had me just start changing my vocabulary, because I kept telling her I didn't want to have the ulcer, I didn't want to be bleeding, I wanted to feel better, and she's like, you have to tell yourself you don't want to, because that's easier for you than addressing what had happened to you. You need to change your verbiage. That what are you not addressing, which is better, which is easier than the ulcers you're receiving. So I think the mind-body connection, I really didn't know that there was a mind-body connection. That was something I learned, as I'm going through this process. And now you're just like, everything is connected. And I'm sure you've read the book, The Body Keeps Score. And
so good.
It's so good, and it's just like, it opens your mind. You're like, yes, it's all connected. And then when you start like realizing it, and then you start taking action to change it, you're like, whoa, this is amazing. And we were talking a little bit ago before we got online, about Joe Dispenza. I mean, that was another like pivotal moment for me, like just like change your mind, change your life. It's like it's beautiful. And then just learning how to reprogram like all the things that I had been told of who I am and who I should be, and reprogramming it to the person I want to be, has been really transformative.
When did you find, like, what was that pathway of like getting to Joe Dispenza for you? Like, was it like the inner child person, like starting to peel away stuff, or like, how did you end up there?
It's funny. I got through Joe Dispenza through my business coach. So during this time, like I said, things like I'm just not in a good place. And I'm trying to do everything to figure out, what's wrong or what could I be doing better. And so I also had a business coach at the time, because I wanted to be a better business owner. I had just opened my business a few years earlier, and I wanted to be more successful than I was. And what I realized through the coaching process was it wasn't me as a business person. It was my fears and my limitation, my own self-doubt, and my own negative self-talk that was preventing me from being a successful business owner. And so when he realized, there's more stuff than just like me running a business, at issue, he recommended Joe Dispenza, and then that has just taken me on my own journey there.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, and I love this about you. It just reminds me of myself too. Like you're just like so growth minded in like every aspect of your life, and um, yeah, no, I have so much respect for people who have gone through a lot and come out the other side and are just trying to constantly like better themselves and undo all of that just junk that's been placed on top of them, right? Because everyone has a story, right? Everyone has gone through like various levels of trauma or like horrible things. And like I believe like what happens to you isn't your fault, but like healing is your responsibility at some point, right? Like at some point you have to make that choice if you're going to stay a victim or if you're going to be like, all right, like let's unpack this. It's going to suck, but let's do it because it's going to be better on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. I have a chapter in my book, and it says, you didn't make the mess, but you have to clean it up. Like that's really it. It isn't your fault. You didn't do it, but in order to change it, you're going to have to take some action. And for me, it's really become it's like a high. Like now that
Yeah.
you get a new tool, you're like, oh, okay, this one's good. I want to do it more, and you chase it, and you can kind of feel the changes in your life. I mean, my relationships are stronger, not only at home and with my family, but like, people that I meet, colleagues that I meet, my employees at the office, like all of those relationships strengthen because I feel good in my skin. And it's, you know, when I was a child and I was going through the household that I was really depressed and suicidal. And I mean, I tried to take my life twice as a very young kid. And it's so foreign now, right? Like the person you were when you were going through that is so foreign to me and who I am now. And that's really what I try to get or instill in people, and why I wrote my book and why I go on podcast is like, you can't see yourself there. You can't imagine yourself out of that situation that you're in. But once you start, you won't know that that was you. You can't imagine yourself being there on the other side. And I think that's what's beautiful once you start the journey. And it's a journey, right? There's no end point. But each time you reach a pivotal moment, it strengthens everything in your life.
It almost feels like a different lifetime, right? Like you're living multiple lifetimes within like one life.
Yes.
Yeah, I relate to that a lot. Which is amazing. Like I like people need permission to reinvent themselves. Like you can reinvent yourself at any point of your life that you want to. Even if it's not just healing from something, if you just want some sort of change, you can do that. So I know you work with a lot of women now who have gone through similar things. Like, how is that for you? Is it hard to work with people who are like in the throes of it still, like being on the other side of it, or like what? I guess just what's it like?
Yeah. For me, it's wonderful. It's like I finally figured out, all of my angers and all my triggers and all the things that really upset me. I've made it my superpower. Like I harness that and I'm able to express that emotion and that anger and that passion on behalf of my clients, right? So when they're being attacked by their boss or they've been sexually assaulted by someone, and I'm, get the honor of representing them and going up against this person, like I channel and or not channel, I guess, harness those feelings that I have for what happened to me on behalf of my client. So I enjoy it. It allows me to feel like, all those years I didn't say anything in my own household and I didn't do anything to stop what was even going on with, my siblings or my mom. It makes me feel like I'm saying something now. And that's why now I can't be quiet. It's like if I see injustice, like I'll speak out. I've also learned that, not every place is the right place to do it. So,
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could see like that could be kind of freeing where it's like, okay, I can harness this anger for a moment, but then it's like something I can put aside and it's not like living in me. Because like I always wonder that with like therapists or someone, like it's like you have to at some point like you have to have like your own like emotional boundary, right? It's got to be like so difficult, I don't know, to just like see other people like in pain and suffering all the time.
It is, but I guess I've now done it for so long. Is just I know I've seen it again through myself, and then also through my clients of them on the other side, right? Like it's so empowering to stand up to the person that has caused this and to say, no, I'm not going to allow this, and I'm going to do something about it. When that person gets to the other side, like they're more empowered than they were. Now they have found their voice. They know they can speak up, and they're not going to let this happen again. So to me, it's very fulfilling. For me, what's been the growth part is dealing with the people on the other side. At the beginning of my career, when I say that I've learned to control it, I used to get really angry and I used to pop off on people, which is not the best way to handle, professional settings, right? And so learning how to control that, still staying passionate, but then not just going off on somebody, right? Because it's not persuasive when you do that. So that's how I've grown professionally while dealing with my own trauma.
Yeah, that makes sense. So do a lot of these cases get brought to court? Because I'm thinking like, so just very quick background on me. I was sexually abused by a family member for 4 years, starting at age 12. And when like my whole extended family found out, most of them disowned me. And I remember at the time my dad like went to a lawyer and was like, should we do anything? And they were like, there's like no way you would ever win this case. Like, no, like not even worth it. So yeah, I'm just like curious, like, do they go to court? Like, do a lot of cases get won? Like, I don't know. This was also a long time ago.
Yeah, so there's two parts to it, right? There's the criminal aspect of sexual assault cases and sex abuse cases, right? So where the prosecutor brings a case and the whole goal of that case is to imprison the person. And then the field that I work in is civil cases. So our job is to get money and for you for the harm that you've suffered. And so when we say they go to court, a complaint might be filed in court. So a public document where you make your allegations about what this person did and the harm that you've suffered. And then whether it goes to trial where a jury of your peers decide whether that's, really happened or didn't, only 2% of cases get to that point. The other 98% of cases settle at some point. It just when do they settle varies. So I would say, yes, they win. I think sometimes like the media might, post things about all these, women coming forward and nothing happening, but there's also the other side of it where women are winning every day. And like I said, just coming out for a woman, I think that's the win right there. Like they've stood up to the person that has done this to them. And that personally is the win. The money, there's never going to be compensation enough that's going to make up for what happened to you. But the win is standing up for yourself against this person and letting them know I'm not going to keep this a secret and I'm not going to just go away.
Yeah. So maybe that lawyer was wrong. And the whole like keeping it a secret thing is so interesting. I've had so many people who haven't gone through abuse been like, why didn't you just say something? And it's like, I don't know what that answer is. Like there was like a lot of guilt and shame, but like also I didn't like know any better.
Well, there's shame,
I mean?
right? And you don't think people are going to believe you. I mean, at least for myself and my client, the shame is a consequence of the abuse. And so you internalize it and you think it's your fault. You should have done something different. You put yourself in that situation. You didn't say no. You didn't run away. And you start blaming yourself for everything. And so now since you're blaming yourself, how could you say anything? Because you then are embarrassed about your non-action.
Yeah.
And as opposed to changing that about what this person did and it's their fault and they should have never done it in the first place. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's a consequence of the abuse. And that's what, the healing journey takes you. And so that's why I think it's so important to just even journal, just put down what happened, right? That's going to get you into the act of, getting it out of you and doing something about it. And again, it doesn't have to be a lawsuit or a book or a podcast, but just speaking about it and not keeping it a secret, right? Not keeping it to yourself inside, and having it ruminate in your mind and blaming yourself. That really is the first step to take you on your journey.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I remember the way that I told someone I was very suicidal and I was like cutting myself all the time. And my parents, I was in therapy, but they took me to Mayo Clinic to have like an evaluation. And I remember like sitting there and they made me take this test with like hundreds of questions, and there was like one innocent one in there in the middle, and it was like, have you ever had an unwanted sexual experience, and like by who? But the way it was worded was like so innocent. And I remember begging the doctor after not to tell my parents because I was like so mortified. And they were like, the story they told me is like, they were like, we're gonna send, for some reason the school needed a copy of it. I don't remember. I was getting in trouble in school a lot. That's probably why. But they're like, okay, we're gonna send the like full copy to the school and we'll leave this part out for your parents. And they were probably lying to me. But like the story my mom told me is she's like, I went to the school and looked through their records and that's how she found. But there, it was like so freeing once it was out there.
Yeah.
Even though I was like, didn't want them to know at all. It was like once they knew, it was like such a relief.
Exactly. And that's how I feel now. And like I said, I feel it, my clients feel it, right? Like it's so heavy and you're so scared to say anything and you have so much shame. You think people are going to reject you. That's another big part of it, right? You're so afraid that if you say anything, the people
well, they did in my case.
Yeah, they did. They did in your case, but there are still a lot of people that love you, you know, like,
Yeah.
And like if the people that are going to reject you, to me, they shouldn't be in your circle anyways. But that's a separate issue. I'm just saying, like once like it's out, it doesn't carry that weight anymore, and it doesn't hold over you, and that's what's going to allow you to be the person you want to be. You're the person you've been dreaming of being.
So have you done a lot of work around forgiveness for like, so for me, like I've forgiven all of those people. Like there's like nothing inside of me that has like any anger towards them anymore. And I think that was a really big pivotal point, like when I got to that, which is like why I can talk about it so openly, right? So like, how has that been for you? Like, have you been able to forgive those people?
I don't really think of it as forgiveness, right? Like it's not like my father, like he wasn't all bad, right? He still, like, I still did live with him. I traveled with him. I spoke with him. He packed my lunches. He dropped me off. I mean, there were all of those moments. And so for me, there wasn't anything to forgive. He just really fucked me up with what he did, and I had a lot of problems. And so what he did, it not like me being able to talk about it and write about it, like that was the work that I did for myself. And so now it just doesn't affect me. Like, just like, yeah, that happened, but it doesn't play the same weight. Like I'm not like, shouting over like, oh my God, what's going to happen if I say this? Or what are they going to think when they find this out? It's like, yep, it's out there and it doesn't bother me. So I've really never focused on the forgiveness piece of it, because I don't think it matters whether you forgive a person or not. You still are going to have things that you're going to have to deal with, and you can forgive, everybody in the world, but there's still a lot of work you're going to need to do to get yourself feeling the way, you want to be for yourself and for the people around you.
Yeah, that's fair. I think like another way of saying forgiveness, for me at least, is letting go of any kind of anger I had about it. Because forgiveness is all about you, not the other person, right? It's like, there's that great Buddhist quote that's like, holding on to anger is like holding on to a hot coal with the idea of throwing it at someone else, like you're the one that gets burned. So for me, forgiveness is like letting go of all of those negative emotions that are only hurting me in the long run.
Yeah, and so what's interesting for me, I haven't had that, and my therapist works on this with me, is that my anger has been misguided, in the sense I'm putting it on somebody else that doesn't deserve it. I should be really angry at my dad. I should be really angry at my mom. I should be really angry at the other family members that sexually assaulted me. But instead of being really angry at them, I get triggered and pissed off at, other people. And so he tries to get me to get really angry, at my dad. And I haven't had that. So I guess maybe I'm just not there yet in my journey. I haven't let go of the anger because I haven't felt that anger. Yeah. It's been more sadness for me, more than anything. It really, especially when my daughter was born, like the sadness of like a childhood that I never had, and so to me, that's the part that really got me. Like, what could it have been like, if I had a different family life, or parents like myself, if I had a mom like me or a dad like my husband, what kind of kid would I have been, or an adult would I have been?
Well, I don't know. I think that you had the exact experience you needed to be the person you are today, you know?
Yes.
Has any kind of like spirituality played into your healing journey?
It's interesting. So I grew up very, very religious. We grew up Ismaili Muslim. And so all growing up as this is happening to me, all I did was pray, right? I prayed for two things. They're real simple, right? I just prayed to be happy and to not be in this angry, chaotic, dysfunctional family. It was just like, I just don't want to be here, right? Those are only two things I prayed for. And I did that.
Like a little kid praying to be happy. That like breaks my heart.
I know. And that was it. And we went to church. Church was open. We prayed 3 times a day. Ismailis pray 3 times and not 5 times like other Muslims. But anyways, all of those prayers were the same. And it just felt like nobody ever listened. And so as I got older and trying to find, I don't practice religion anymore. There was aspects of it that I, very happy with, that I, got out of it. But associating spirituality with religion is what I always connected with. But really, Joe Dispenza and his meditations, I feel like that brings me spirituality, right? Connecting to the larger energy field and connecting as energetic beings with other people. That is a huge part. And that's really what, I do when I'm in practice. Sometimes I get out of practice, but when I'm in practice, spending the time to connect and feel my heart, with the energy around me. To me, that's spirituality. And so that was a shift for me because, again, I associated spirituality with religion so much. And so getting out of that has been nice. So I would say, yes, I am spiritual. It's just different than the way I was taught what spirituality is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm when I think of spirituality, I think of Joe Dispenza too.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that you found him. So, like, what haven't we talked about that you really want to like get out there to listeners?
I think when you're on this journey, I really think it's important for you to focus on your why, right? Sometimes, at least for me, when I was starting it, like I wasn't enough, right? And again, that goes back to the trauma and the abuse, is that I wasn't enough, so I wasn't worth it to do the work. But my daughter was, and so focusing on like why you want to be better, why you want to change your life, why you want to feel differently, I think is important because it's going to propel you to keep going when it gets hard, right? When you don't want to do it or you're tired of doing it. And then also finding your people. I know you said, you had family that disowned you, but like finding your people in the group that are going to support you as you, enter this world of, speaking out or being on a healing journey, and not surround yourself with like the naysayers, right? Let it go. You move on from it. That was a long time ago. How are you going to say something now? What's going to happen to their family if you speak out? Like all of those things.
Do people really say those things to
people? Really do say
that's crazy. Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
Yes. I mean, the worst thing is I don't believe you, right? Like you're a liar and you're making this up. Like that's the worst thing. And people hear that all the time. And so I think it's really important to have a group that believes you, supports you, and wants to be there for you. And, it's times, not that you have to disown your family, but you might need to separate some of those individuals yourself so you can better yourself.
The people that say that are told that that they're not believed, is it people who have been like through intense childhood sexual abuse, or is it people who have been like maybe like assaulted or harassed at work, or like what is the level? Because like that's such a crazy, horrible thing to say to someone.
I know. So all of the above. So I in every single one of my cases, and I tell this to my clients as well when they come in, it's not personal, but this is how they defend the case. The first thing is they say it didn't happen. You're making it up. You're a liar. No, that never happened. And that is the first way of defense. The second thing they will say is you wanted it. You consented to it. You welcomed it. You asked for it. You were in the relationship with the person. And then when that fails, they will attack you and your credibility in any which way they can. All of a sudden, you were the worst employee that's ever, existed on earth. And people that you think are your friends at work, will start coming against you. And so all of those things are really hard, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I think these women are so brave for coming forward. And our job is just to prepare them, right? Again, it's not personal, like they're not just doing it for you. It doesn't make it any easier to go through, but this is how they defend every single case. Because what else are they going to do with it, right? Unfortunately, nobody can say, yes, I'm sorry that happened to you and I want to make it right, right? That unfortunately is not the response that you receive.
Yeah, that's horrible. And it totally makes sense. Like you were saying, maybe that's why that lawyer told me not to go through with it. Because he's like, I don't want to put this like 15-year-old through this. What was I just going to ask you? I had a question based on what you said. Oh, is there like where's the burden of proof in those kind of cases? Like, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like a he said, she said. If there's no proof, like, how does that play out?
So the burden is on you to prove that this happened to you. And the burden is slight in the sense, like, you just have to say that this person did this. Then, like I said, they will deny it. And then it becomes a credibility, right? If there's no documents, there's no text messages, there's no witnesses, and all we have is your side and the other person's side, It is a credibility issue of who is, more believable when they tell their story. So when you're you really descriptive in the sense of like the places you were and the things that happened, it's really hard for the other person to say that didn't happen, because how do you have that amount of detail if you're just making it up? And then experts come into play as to, the fact that I think it's like maybe 2% of people that have made up stories. Like this, the chances of somebody making up a story that they've been sexually assaulted is very, very rare. Even though people like you to think that, oh, there's all these women making up these stories, that just doesn't happen. It's actually the opposite. It's actually really hard to say this abuse happened, right? Most of us don't speak out about it. It's not us just making it up along the way.
Right. That's so interesting. I mean, it's good that the proof or the burden of proof is slight. And that makes sense, like the more details you have. Because that would be so awful if someone went through abuse, spoke up about it, got a lawyer, went to court, and then lost.
Well, think about the Harvey Weinstein. They won, and then it was reversed, and so.
What was the story? I'm not super familiar.
Oh, sorry. So Harvey Weinstein was convicted, but then the judge reversed the conviction on the grounds that the jury heard evidence they shouldn't have. And so they had to retry the case. And it wasn't of all counts, but that is also, again, really hard, right? Like, you just went through this whole trial, you testified, and then now the judge is saying, oh, because of some technicality that the jury heard something they shouldn't have, we have to do it again, So
did it get like the same results when they retried it? Okay. Well, at least there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's got to be like traumatic to like face your abuser in court too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's why I think it's important to have a team and know your rights, right? Like, not everything, you don't have to file a lawsuit, but I think it's very powerful to know that you can, and what that looks like. And then the choice is yours of how you want to pursue it,
I mean, is it really expensive for a woman to like file a lawsuit in that kind of instance? Because that's also like, I could see how like, you're like, wow, I could lose this, and it's so much money, and things get dragged on so long, like the wheels of justice turn slowly. Like, I can see how that might be like off-putting to some people.
Yeah, so I work on a contingency fee basis. Most of the attorneys that do this work on a contingency fee basis, which means you don't pay anything unless there's a recovery. And if there's a recovery, the attorney's fees are paid as a percent.
Oh, wow.
So no, it's not expensive.
That's pretty amazing that you do that.
Yes. Nothing.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's great. Wow. But yeah, going back to like what you said about like have your why, I love that so much. I keep thinking about that. Like, especially if you already have kids and you're just kind of confronting all this, like that's like the biggest reason of all, to like not carry on generational trauma, because, you know, like so much of who we are is our subconscious, right? 95% is our subconscious. And if someone, even like we might have the best intentions, but if we don't do that inner work, like that's gonna kind of bleed out onto the next generation.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the last thing I want, you know.
Yeah. Awesome. So any last thoughts before we kind of wrap up?
I don't think so. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for having this platform for people. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you want to take a few moments and let people know how they can connect with you, talk about your book, whatever you want to chat about.
Sure. The easiest way to find me is on my website, which is Alreen, ALREEN.com. And there you can find a copy of my book as well.
You know, I actually do have one more question for you. Like, if what's your advice for someone who's like coming out of this kind of storm to start to heal?
Like the step one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think just like journaling is kind of how I started, right? Like just like taking that first act. And that was something I did when I was in college. But now when I'm going through, you know, a tough time or just a difficult period in my life where I'm kind of stuck somewhere, the thing that I always come back to that really pulls me out, is my gratitude journal, you know, and and that's all it is just like three things you're thankful for, right? Like it just starts changing your perspective, and kind of gets you like, you know, out of kind of that constant, negative self-talk that sometimes is overburdening.
Brilliant. I love it. Yeah, and the more you focus on the things you're grateful for, the more things you get to be grateful for, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's pretty amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was great to chat with you. I'll have all your links in the show notes. So if you're listening and you didn't catch the website or the name of the book, it's all going to be in there. And yeah, if you are listening to this and you resonated with it, there's someone you think, there's someone you think might benefit from it, feel free to share it, like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things. Let's help better humanity. Have a beautiful rest of your day, everyone.